What's up, Des Moines? You're listening to KDPS 88.1 FM. I am Aly, and we all know the Super Bowl is coming up this weekend. And although the game is exciting, most of us like to tune in to watch the commercials. You know, ads that marketers spend millions of dollars on to create for our entertainment. But is it worth it? I'm joined by Mark Stevens, author of Your Marketing Sucks. Mark, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Good. Now, you have said that Super Bowl ads are an excuse for agencies to show how cool they are. Can you kind of explain what you mean by that?
So, in the Super Bowl, the agencies are in this game to show who's the most creative, so they can win what's known in advertising as Clio Awards. And Clio Awards are not based on how much revenue did you generate, but on how cool the aesthetic was of the commercial. And that often doesn't translate into revenues, which means the agency and the company are often at odds. The same thing happens on a local level. So your listeners who hire a firm to do marketing for them is often seeking awards. They don't even really understand business. They don't understand the need to drive revenues, and that's something that's bothered me my whole life as a entrepreneur. That's why I started a marketing company 20 years ago.
So Super Bowl spots are averaging, $3 million on average per 30-second commercial. This is obviously a huge sum of money. So the companies are just spending this to get awards? They're not trying to actually sell anything?
Well, the agencies are looking to get awards. The agencies that they hire to do that. Don't forget, it's over $3 million this year for the 30 seconds. Plus, sometimes they spend $5-6 million producing a commercial. So anyway, the company does want to increase sales, holistically speaking. But when it comes to the Super Bowl, I call it the Stupid Bowl because American business loses its mind that day. On Super Bowl day, and it does things it would not ordinarily do. And, it's kind of cool for the CEO or the chief marketing officer to be at their own Super Bowl party and say, hey, there's my spot, there's our spot, there's our spot. But and the next day, we all hear these polls the next day and various sources like USA Today and others that rank the commercials, the top 10 commercials.
Right.
Well, how can they do that? How can they know? They don't know how much they sold yet. How can you rank a commercial which is designed to sell things the day before you know if it sold anything? So the reason I wrote Your Marketing Sucks and the reason why we're talking is because, look, I can have fun on Super Bowl too, and I like watching the commercials as well. But it's entertainment, and the point is more towards the closely held companies, smaller companies that may be listening. They are faced with spending money for marketing / advertising all the time, and I'm a big advocate for spending money on that, but making certain that you do it not to be cool and not to be crazy or wild, but to create advertising and marketing in general that produces revenues that enables you to grow your profits and take your company to the next level. Because we worked on it not to see how that we'd have the coolest commercial, but the one that would generate the greatest return.
Okay, and that's the difference you're saying.
Right.
Okay, very nice. So will you be watching the Super Bowl this Sunday?
Yeah.
You will? Or do you flip through and turn it off on commercials, or how does that work?
No, a game like this where I don't have a team that I favor or hate. You have to have somebody you favor or you hate in order to watch the Super Bowl. I don't have that this year. But it's an American holiday, and I like to watch the commercials because they can be entertaining. But remember, the companies that are paying for this are not in the entertainment business, most of them. They're in the business of selling, shoes and beer and pizza and stuff like that, and it's got to make sure that it sells that. But it's a fun thing to watch. I don't think I'll watch the whole game because none of my teams are in it.
Okay.
Unless it turns out to be an exceptional game, but it's a good thing to see. And maybe every once in a while you do see a spot on the Super Bowl where there is a very strong call to action and where you can, like GoDaddy, when they put themselves on the map. They did put themselves on the map. There is a place for Super Bowl advertising and for major local advertising for on a sort of part of small businesses and mid-sized businesses in certain opportunities. So you want to be able to look for what those opportunities are. But generally, I say start small, test, measure the results. Don't do anything you can't measure results, and build from there. That because everybody who owns a business or manages a business needs to grow. It doesn't need to win awards for being the coolest person on the block.
Okay. So you're not saying that you wouldn't watch them. You're just saying that they're doing it not to make money, but to get more advertising in the future.
Right. One of the funny things I think is that when the salespeople for the network goes to see their potential advertisers, they tell them that there's going to be an audience of 90 million people or so. Mm-hmm. One of the things they never tell them is that 2/3 of those people are drunk when they're watching the game. So you really don't have their attention.
Yeah, that would probably distract from their actual
attention. Yes. But it's a fun thing. It's a great American holiday. It's become that way. But the business lesson, when I'm all about the business lessons, because I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, what's the business lesson about how do you advertise and market effectively and successfully and avoid the sand traps, which is why I wrote Your Marketing Sucks and why it became a global bestseller. I believe American entrepreneurs are the backbone of the country, and I want the entrepreneurial community to succeed. I feel like they are my brethren. That's who I've been ever since I'm 15 years old.
Very nice. Well, I have been joined here by Mark Stevens, author of Your Marketing Sucks, and we've been talking about Super Bowl ads coming up this weekend. Mark, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
You have been listening to KDPS 88.1 FM.